Hey guys, it's going to be a short video. This is in response to Mike Elam's Facebook page, The Other Story, or whatever it's called. Mike Elam says that something the Pusser files have constantly failed to explain is this. He calls, old fella, again guys, Sheila and I have never been fans or foes of Buford Pusser until all this here came about. Started researching a little bit and found out this man's falsely accused, falsely convicted. This is a sham. It's a shame, but it's a sham from everything that we've seen, at least in my opinion. I'll speak for myself. Sheila's not here right now. Mike Elam says, if my research were wrong, why would the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation choose to investigate Pauline Pusser's homicide based on the evidence I uncovered? Well, my first question would be, what evidence? What evidence did Mike uncover, and what evidence does the TBI have that there was even an ambush from 1967? There's not even any evidence there was ever an ambush from 1967. They lost everything, guys. Now, he says, why would the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation choose to investigate Pauline Pusser's homicide? Well, I can only give my opinion here. I can only assume that it's because Mike Elam fed him the same hogwash that he did to Ricky Plunk. Remember in that video about the gun, he says Ricky Plunk had to, I can't identify this guy right now. He wants to take some time off and prepare his family for what's about to happen. In other words, they were going to be famous. He wants to prepare his family because they're going to be famous when this case broke. Mike Elam had everybody sold that there would be movies made, there would be books written, this would be such a change in history, and most people would just roll over like an old dead dog and just, like you're rubbing on a dog's belly, and just lay there and say, okay, well, it must be true. They said it. And that's not what's happened. People's not done that. They didn't pull the wool over nobody's eyes when they said, see the report, see the report, see the report. Mike Elam continues. If my findings had no merit, the TBI would have distanced themselves. Oh, Mike, I bet you the TBI and Mark Davison, I bet you they wish that they would have never heard your name at this point. They would have distanced themselves from you had they could only seen the future and what was to come. I've said before, Mike Elam is a great storyteller. Mike Elam should do stories, real books, because he can make it up faster than somebody could probably type it. He's that good. And he's good when he sold the TBI and their investigators and Mr. Davison and Mr. Roush. He sold them on this. And they seen nothing but the limelights. They seen the movies coming in. You know, it's funny. I don't know if I covered this in one of our videos, but in one of those, volume 1, I believe, in the table of contents, it's got on there where they're talking about all these people signing DNAs, non-disclosures. All these people, they're signing non-disclosures. Nobody can speak on this case, but the only two that I didn't see non-disclosures signed by was Mr. David Roush and Mr. Mark Davison. Now, I could have overlooked them, but I didn't see any NDAs from those two gentlemen. Why? Why is that? See, that's the same way as this FBI case back in the 80s, 90s, when Mark Putnam killed his girlfriend. The head of the FBI told his agent to get him a lawyer. He wasn't going to do anything right then. Go get you a lawyer. And they called him a lawyer up, the FBI did, to hook him up with a good lawyer. Told him not to comment to nobody else, not to do this, not to do that. You don't do that for other criminals. We don't do that for other murder suspects, or admitted. At this time, he was an admitted murderer. And then the same FBI agent, his supervisor, come back and was actually on the set, the movie set, an FBI agent on the movie set when they made the movie dealing with him killing an innocent girl. Same way this is going to be, or would have been, had it worked out. You would have seen David Roush and Mark Davison portrayed in that movie as some type of hero. Oh, they stepped forward. They solved a case from 58 years ago. This case ain't been solved, guys. This case is hearsay. This case is circumstantial. This case is anything but solved. It's not even, I'm not even going to use the word circumstantial. This is not even a circumstance. Only thing circumstantial about this is that Buford Pusser and Pauline Pusser happened to be in the same car on the same road on the same morning that somebody shot both of them. That's the only circumstantial about it. They were there. The rest of it is made up. The rest of it's hearsay. The rest of it's propaganda, fabricated. That's it. There's not even any shell casings to compare to anything. Mike Elam says instead, they did the opposite. They consulted with District Attorney General Mark Davison, reviewed the evidence. What evidence, Mike? What evidence did they review? They've lost their evidence. The TBI has lost the clothing, the shoes, the shell casings, the blood samples, the bullets taken from the console and the side post. They've lost everything. What evidence, Mike? The only thing you did is send them people to talk to 2 or 3 generations down that says they heard this or heard that or somebody told them something. Hearsay. What evidence? See, guys, you can talk about this stuff all day long. That's what you call speaking in the history. There's 3 times that Mike, in this short paragraph, has mentioned evidence. Evidence, evidence, evidence. And it makes you think, oh, okay, yeah, the evidence didn't add up. The evidence, guys, let me clear this up for you. There is no evidence. Mike Elam has no evidence, and the TBI has no evidence. The evidence was lost. There's no evidence 58 years later. After examining the facts, Mike Elam says, after examining the facts, General Davison, General, reminds me of that little General, the General insurance guy on TV you see. The General, yeah. The General publicly stated that if Buford Pusser was alive today, he would be indicted for the murder of Pauline Pusser. That's what he said. I heard that. Mike Elam's correct there. That's what the General said, and that's what cleared Mike Elam, and that's what cleared Oakley Baldwin to say and write anything they want to say, because they've got the TBI and the district attorney acknowledging that if he was alive today, they would do this. Guys, I guarantee you, as a police officer, you could go to Mr. Davison with a case. I'd love to have a case file and go to him and say, I've got this case I want to present to the grand jury. And what do you have? Well, I really ain't got nothing. I've lost the clothing. I've lost the shoes. I've lost the shell casings. I've lost the bullets. I've lost the blood samples. I've lost the car. But I'd like to go in there and tell them the story of what these people told us from 58 years ago, or that their mother's uncle's brother told them. And I've got another guy that says that he's gave a statement to the another officer, but it's not the statement that he gave that's in the report. He says that's not his words. And I've got another woman that says she was told her name would never be brought up or mentioned. And there's just so much hearsay and fabrication here. I don't know, but I'd like to present this to the grand jury. And Mr. Davison would say, I don't think so. Not in my time in service. That ain't happening. But this is Buford Pusser, see? This is a movie star. This is a man that's got a name. He's got fame. And through his name and through his fame comes fortune, comes book writing, bus tours, movie deals, comes name recognition for in case a person wants to run for higher office. A man wants to run, David Roush, he's already been elected to some kind of something in the Chiefs of Police Association. They think he's some kind of big deal. He done solved a 58-year-old case, can't find 2 children just up the street. just up the road been missing. They've only been missing a year or two, but can't find them. But we can go solve a 58-year-old case that the FBI couldn't solve because, see, the FBI was in on this case 58 years ago. That's the headlines in one of the newspapers. FBI joins investigation. Now, they didn't involve the FBI in this one here other than just checking to see if they had any files or had any evidence. They didn't involve them to say, hey, won't you do this blood work for us? Won't you do this ballistics test for us? Won't the ATF come in here and run this gun for us? No, all that's free. They'd rather go out and pay some experts because they don't want to involve the FBI. Now, if I was Cash Patel and the FBI, I would open this case up and I would want to go talk to people and I would want to see exactly what they said, who they said it to, if there's a tape of it. I would investigate this. The FBI don't have to investigate the Buford Pusser case. They can investigate the TBI and see how this case got to where it's at. Why has this gun not been returned to Ricky Plunk? If it's not stolen, if it's not the murder weapon, why hasn't it been returned? Why can't we find no records on this gun? People are filing Freedom of Information Act records requests all over the place, and they're coming back with nothing. They've got it shut down. Why is that? If the gun is not stolen, if the gun's not used in a homicide, it should have been returned to Ricky Plunk. He's the rightful owner. His dad gave it to him. Or we can't return it to Ricky Plunk because it is a stolen gun. Well, if it is a stolen gun, why hasn't Ricky Plunk and Mike Elam been charged with possession of a stolen gun, with firing a stolen gun? Probably can't link it to the murder because she had no bullets in her head. They have no casings to compare to that gun. I have a feeling that is the gun that was involved in at least the ambush. It was involved in some way, but they have nothing to compare it to. But the serial numbers alone, through military records from 1963 and 64 in federal court dealing with O'Neill Moffett, would have the serial number and know whether that's one of the 8 M1 rifles that was stolen or not. And if it's one of the 8 M1 rifles that was stolen, then Ricky Plunk and Mike Elam needs to be charged with a crime. If it's not one of those guns that was stolen, then the gun should be returned to Ricky Plunk. Why has none of that happened? See, questions brings more questions. This needs to be investigated by the FBI and the ATF, who can go through the firearms, who can go through this stuff and shut this dog and pony show down. They shut this down. This was for nothing more, in my opinion, than movie making, selling books, bus tours, self-gratification, pat themselves on their back like they did this big job while they destroyed a man's reputation. They destroyed a man's reputation. That's all we got once we die, was our reputation that we had. I'm not going to drag it out. Thanks, guys. Catch you next time.